Sunday evening, it's the Edmonton Oilers and the Florida Panthers. Jack Michaels and Bob Stauffer will have all the live play-by-play for you at 6 o'clock on the Oilers radio network. And Bob, coming off an exhilarating opening night performance against Calgary, here's a game on the schedule that the Oilers not only could, but maybe should win against a run-of-the-mill Eastern Conference opponent.
Well, it's interesting with the Florida Panthers. I mean, they are in a bit of a rebuild mode, and I'm sure Dale Talon is in search of a lot of draft picks and maybe trying to follow the same template he had in Chicago. He went into Chicago in difficult times, solid ownership, but difficult times. In Florida, ownership at times has been a bit of an issue. And basically what Talon did is he accumulated a ton of draft choices, built a lot of depth up in his organization. Of course, he benefited from having Patrick Kane go number 1, and the year before that, Jonathan Toews go number 3. But
I've heard of those guys.
Yeah, those guys are pretty good. In the Panthers' case, they ended up with a 3rd overall pick, Eric Branson. Similar to what happened with Jay Bouwmeester, you know, there was a bit of an issue there from what we hear in terms of some contract stuff, and Goodbranskin has gone back to major junior hockey. Florida's kind of a no-name hockey team. For the Oilers, hey, there's a lot to build on. I mean, it was an exciting night on Thursday night against a bitter rival. The Oilers played hard, they played tough, and they played with speed. I think the biggest thing that I noticed in difference compared to last year's team was the Oilers can really forecheck with that top 9, and they got to continue to build on that success, but to a certain degree, Jack, also contain the enthusiasm a bit as well. You know, let's be cautiously optimistic with this season, and it was a good start for the Oilers the other night, and it should be expected to continue against Florida coming up.
One of those top 9, Gilbert Brulé, got banged up, didn't play the last half of the third period. What's his status, and how might that affect the lines?
Ankle injury. It was from the Evenon's hit, according to Brulé. I know there was some debate out there, and I guess that just reinforces the importance of a guy like Steve McIntyre doing his job later in the game. One of two things is going to happen. Brulé will either play against the Florida Panthers, or conversely, if he comes out, Ryan Jones moves up on that line. We've seen that in practice the last couple days, and we'll play with Andrew Cogliano and Magnus Piarvi, and we'll have both Zach Stortini and Steve McIntyre in against the Florida Panthers, who've just picked up Darcy Hordichuk, so I guess Hordy can probably pick his poison.
And if you look at the Florida roster, Hordichuk fills that toughness role, but Florida's strength for the most part has been two things, as you pointed out earlier, structure, but also goaltending. They've got a nice 1-2 combination that keeps them in most games.
Yeah, you know, a couple years ago they had Thomas Vokoun and Craig Anderson, and I know Jay Bouwmeester had communicated, you know, Craig Anderson's ready to be a full-time starter in this league. Somebody's going to get a bargain in goal, but Vokoun's the guy they're going to ride, I would assume, at this stage of the game. And, you know, it's interesting, you take a look at the Panthers organization, and the one thing that Peter DeBoer has brought for major junior hockey is structure and process to the Panthers game. This is not an easy team to play against, and they work hard, and they can skate a bit. So it should be a pretty interesting matchup coming up.
All right, he's Bob Stauffer. I'm Jack Michaels. We'll have the play-by-play for you Sunday, 6 o'clock sharp on the Oilers radio network. Oilers next in action at home against Minnesota on October the 21st. Good tickets still available.